to chant along or follow along, you can find it on page 7. We'll be doing the Great Bell Chant. Vowing that the sound of this bell pervades the universal Dharma realm, bringing luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the 3 evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, Vairocana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the Lotus-born universe, expounding the treasured verses of the sacred golden texts contained within precious cases written on jade scrolls. Each dust mote interpenetrates and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Avatamsaka Sutra expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase. Everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell. Namu ata shijinam samyak samota juchinam om ajana baba jiri jiri hum. Namu ata shijinam samyak samota Juchininam om ajana baba jiri jiri hum. Nam muata shijinam samyak samota juchinam om ajana baba jiri jiri hum. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Abhatthana Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the rays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding a mala and bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Vairocana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite light. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. It is adorned with Dharmakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the bejeweled images observed by the three Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious waters. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, who is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmatched throughout the worlds of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self in everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Keep your thoughts on him and never forget, as thoughts probe that place of no thought. The 6 sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his gold form radiate through space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person call his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Along with all sentient beings, I vow together to enter the sea of Amitabha's great vows and to ferry across sentient beings so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path to Buddhahood. the sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Tanyata Om Aritara Svabaha. 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 Tanyata Om Aritara Svabaha.
I'd like to invite our incense lighters up. And for the rest of us, if we could turn to page 2 of our chant books, and we'll be doing the incense lighting gatha. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Hello, everybody. Did you have a good Labor Day weekend? Good. I have a couple start of service announcements. Oh, also, my name is Sonshin. Nice to meet you. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a teaching monk here at the temple, just in case you don't know who I am. So a few announcements. If you need to use the bathrooms, right through those curtains right there, we have two. Also downstairs to this curtain, right past the statue there, but before you get to the big jolly guy down there. There's another space downstairs for anybody who has any kids or just needs to step aside for any reason. There's also an extra bathroom down there. There's a water fountain if you get thirsty. We also ask that if you do need to get up and leave at any time, that you move along the back instead of through the front, through the dais, just to kind of help keep the space sacred, as well as not to interrupt the video feed from the people. Also, we're on camera. Hi. Also, I ask as you enter or leave the temple just to give a quick bow of acknowledgement, just to kind of help create, again, a sacred space for us all here. With that, why don't we stand up and greet each other silently, and also pick up your chant books because we're going to be chanting. We'll be starting on page 3, the 3 refugees. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. If we can turn to page 4, the next page, we'll be doing the Heart Sutra. Dhamma Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion deep practice of prajna, paramita. Perceive the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. A bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attains the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Prajna, paramita, hridaya, sutra.
Hello, everybody. So
So we're going to start with some participation. Are you ready? I want you to raise your hand if at any point in your life up till today there's been anybody who's you've looked up to that's let you down. Okay. Has there ever been anybody who you felt was a teacher or that you really learned from that then turned around and maybe did something contrary to what they told you was right? Okay. um, it's a bit of a conundrum, huh? uh, I can speak for myself and my own lineage. There are teachers that have really messed up. Um, I know that Kunga and their lineage has teachers that have really messed up. And I know that Igesu and their lineage has teachers that have royally messed up. I know that in Buddhism as a whole, um, there's been teachers that have really messed up. I know that in the state of Michigan, there have been teachers that have really messed up. I know that within this very temple, there have been teachers that have really messed up. I don't know if I've let down anybody yet, but just wait. It's coming. you know, Maybe we can find some solace that it's not just a Buddhist thing. I come from the Southern Baptist Church, and believe me, it's not any different over there. um, we all know of scandals within just about every organized religion, whether it's Christianity, Islam, just about any position where somebody's put into power, it tends to corrupt. I'll never forget as a 80s baby, 90s kid, when I first heard about Bill Clinton when I was still pretty young and that scandal, which looking back doesn't seem like that big of a deal anymore. But I remember, like, wait a minute, this person's supposed to be in charge of everybody. How could they mess up so badly? And if I were to, think about my parents when they were that age, there was a president named Nixon who also messed up. And if there's anybody younger than me, I'm sure you can name a few leaders of our country who have messed up since then. I won't name any names. It's still too fresh. It hurts too much. Well, spoiler alert, this guy behind me doesn't get a free pass either. And I want to share a story that I think is a very important story about the Buddha. And this has to do with the entry of women into the Sangha, which, just like every other religion, there's a deeply patriarchal and sexist history that goes beyond that. So, I should have memorized this name, but once you hear it, then you'll forgive me for not. I hope I'm saying this right. Maha Prajapati Gautami. She was actually the stepmother or foster mother of the Buddha. It's said that the Buddha's birth mother died in childbirth, and I believe his father remarried this woman, and she basically raised the Buddha, was the Buddha's mother in all action. And the reason she becomes very important in this story is because there came a time when she decided to also, if you remember the story of the Buddha, leave the temple to follow the way and follow the path. But at that time, women were not allowed. The Buddha was an all-boys club. And so she came, and of course, she wasn't even able to get a audience with Buddha himself, which is kind of crazy looking back on it. Here's a woman who raised him. But instead, she went to Ananda, who was Buddha's kind of right-hand man, one of his good friends, and one of his students, and said, Ananda, can't you talk to the Buddha and see if they can allow me in? And Ananda said, I will try. I will go talk to him. And so Ananda went to the Buddha and said, I'm talking to your mom and she wants to be a part of this. And the Buddha said, no. So some time passed and she came back to Ananda and said, Ananda, please, let me join. Let me follow the path. And Ananda said, I will try. And again, he went to the Buddha, and second time, Buddha said, no, it's not happening. Well, at this time, the Buddha's stepmother, had kind of gathered up a following of her own, but all women, all the people who weren't allowed in, but still, saw the value in this teachings. I want to say there was 200, 300, 400 women with her, a pretty big chunk of people. And in a sort of mark of the sincerity, all of them shaved their heads and donned robes. And I will say, you can say what you will, but in just about every society, when a woman shaves their head, it means a little bit more than when a man shaves their head. And I'm sorry to point it out, but a lot of men, they shave their heads because there's not a whole lot left to shave. But throughout history, a woman's hair has been a mark of beauty, of wisdom. It's just been a huge mark of character too. And for a woman to go and shave their head, there's a lot bigger of a statement, I think, that's being made. Finally, she came to Ananda a third time, with all of her followers there saying, like, please let us into the Sangha. It's not just a matter of us wanting to be a part of this movement and learning, and but also it's a safety concern because we don't even have the protection of the Sangha at this point. We're just kind of following along outside the outskirts of this all. And so Ananda said, fine, I will go and talk to the Buddha. Now, there's a kind of trope in Buddhism of the third ask, having to ask people 3 times for things. And so this was really the third time. And on the third time, you, as a teacher, somebody comes to you the third time asking something, you're expected, okay, you actually have to say, you have to take this seriously. And so Ananda knew that this was really their last chance, because after asking 3 times, if you got another no, there's no asking again. Like, it's pretty set in stone. So Ananda didn't come just right out with it. He came to the Buddha and said, you have taught, and he said, the Buddha, is it possible for women to learn the way of the Dharma? And the Buddha said, of course it is. And Ananda said, is it possible for women to achieve enlightenment? And the Buddha says, of course it is. Yes, it is. And Ananda said, then why aren't you letting these women come with us and study with us? And the Buddha kind of begrudgingly at this point said, okay, fine, but I'm going to make a set of 8 separate rules that only the nuns have to follow. The main one was, and I think the exact wording the Buddha gave was, even a nun who has achieved enlightenment for 100 years still has to bow down to a monk who has just achieved it today. Essentially saying the highest of the monks still has to be lower than the lowest of, or the highest of the nuns has to be lower than the lowest of the monks. Another rule was that a nun's not allowed to basically study alone. If there is a temple, there has to be a monk there. And if there's no monks there, the nuns have to leave. Basically giving them second class status. And then just to kind of put some salt in the wound, the Buddha said, the Dharma was going to last 1,000 years, but because we're letting women in, it's now only going to last 500. This was 2,500 years ago, by the way. So eat that, Buddha. There are a lot of people who take this story and try to spin it, and I'm used to this kind of, let's just say, mental gymnastics coming from a Christian background of, it's right, you just can't see it that way because there's mysteries beyond your comprehension. So, but I like to say that no, this is a pretty clear-cut example that the Buddha was wrong. And even though he begrudgingly opened the Sangha up at this time, he didn't go far enough. That's pretty obvious. So what do we do? um, and honestly, I think there's a couple answers to this. And I think the first one is in the Heart Sutra that we just chanted. It's in the teachings of form and emptiness. I think the error that we come to when it comes to, our teachers, are they right? Are they wrong? Are they flawed? Are they perfect? Is that we see teacher as this fixed form. Once somebody has achieved enlightenment and put on a robe, then they are the embodiment of this enlightenment. Anything they say is correct, um, and we need to bow down to that. And I don't think that's how it works. And I hope none of you think that's how it works. That's too much pressure for someone like me anyway. Emptiness teaches us that everything is fluid. What makes a teacher is the relationship between a student and teacher. I think a better way and a better question than, what makes a perfect teacher is probably more important of how can you be a perfect student. Every single phenomenon in the universe is a teacher. Every single moment of your life is a teacher, be it an imperfect one or a hard one or a gentle one. But a perfect student can learn from anything that happens. I think the best teachers have mastered being the best students. When the Buddha spoke with wisdom and compassion, he was the perfect Buddha. When he didn't, he wasn't. I'd like to think that the only answer to, are you enlightened, is sometimes. And the only answer to, are you a Buddha, is sometimes. Maybe it's a nature of us that's always there, but also it takes that perfect relationship between student and teacher to sort of pull out that sort of Buddha nature in us all. It's almost a sort of dethroning of this idea or deplatforming. There's an error in saying that this person is really great or this person is really flawed. It's a little bit of both at all times. We have to be able to see Buddha nature completely depersonified. It's not a person that embodies that. It's a sort of nature of bumping off of each other in just that right way that creates that moment of perfect teacher. So I'm going to ask you a question about this story. When Ananda came to the Buddha the third time, who was the Buddha? And who was the student? There's a few things that we have to always remember if we're going to be a functional Sangha. Any sort of power that anybody up here has is only because of the power that you all down there give it. And when we see suffering and we see something that's wrong, we speak to it. There's no given authority or innate authority that gives anybody a sort of pass on the way that this works. I'm sure I've seen Buddhas in all of you just as much as you've seen the Buddhas in me. And a good teacher will acknowledge that and see that. If anything, that's the only difference, I think, between a teacher and a student is realizing what it takes to be a perfect student. And my whole goal is just to pull that out of you more and more because it's all in you already. The other thing that I will say is when you can kind of deplatform your heroes, it becomes a little easier to then learn how to move past a lot of this stuff. You're going to read something really brilliant from some really horrendous people. And you're going to learn to say, you know what? This was really wise and this was really dumb. And I can take this as the teaching and I can take this as a lesson as well. But I don't just take it as in blind faith, if you will. Of course, I do want to solve the whole women in Buddhism problem. And I don't have to because I believe it already was solved. And a little bit of humor, I believe it was solved by a woman. And her name is a little easier to say. It was Soma. And they were a nun that was in Buddhism a little after all of this. And there was a story that Maya, the sort of personification of delusion and attachment in Buddhism, came to her and said, do you really think that you are going to achieve anything as a woman? Do you really think that you can achieve enlightenment as a woman? I don't think that this whole women are inferior thing was a Buddhist thing. I think it was a cultural thing at the time. A lot of people praise what Buddha did because it was a step above where the world was at the time. But still, I think Soma here, with all these doubts in her mind, thinking, I still live in this world that sees me as a second-class citizen. And I think at this point, we can attach that to a lot more than just our gender. There's a lot of things that are put onto us as second-class items in our culture, whether it be the way that we vote, the way that we love, the way that we identify, our race, so many things. But Soma had one of the best responses. And she said, those who see themselves as man or woman or any gender at all are already under the grasp of Mara. True enlightenment, this true wisdom, it goes beyond all this. Again, the emptiness, the form. True enlightenment doesn't care how you identify. True wisdom doesn't care if you're a man or a woman or trans or something in between, something all together, a little both at once, something on the weekends, something on Wednesday. It goes beyond all that. It's being able to see gender as a tool, as a construct that we use to, and seeing everything else. The universe is empty. Mara has no power there. I'm so happy that we've gone beyond what the Buddha taught. And I sit in front of you today, somebody who is non-binary and was taught by a lesbian woman. We've gone further. And I look out at you all and I see a whole bunch of different faces. And I'm so happy that we're no longer an all men's club because that sounds horrible. So I'll leave you with that. Catch yourselves if you start to personify your heroes or think of the Buddha as a fixed thing, because that's when things tend to start going horribly wrong. But on the same side, catch yourself finding Buddha and everything, because they're there. Maybe they're there and somebody cutting you off and you think, oh, maybe it's a bird landing on your doorstep. Maybe it's just a really nice sunny day and there's the Buddha. Maybe it's in the rain. Don't be too concerned about what makes a perfect teacher, because I think all of our jobs is how can I be a perfect student, because everything is a teacher. How can we learn to pull from that? And of course, I never say any of this to give a pass to those in power that abuse, because as a Sangha, it should be a given that we need to point out the suffering. That's why we're here. So don't be afraid to speak out to suffering as you see it. With that, why don't we prepare ourselves for a little bit of meditation? If you've never meditated before, don't worry, you can't mess it up. I would say the biggest thing is just make sure you're comfortable. Focus on your breath if you must, if it helps you. If not, focus on everything else around you. Just have some permission to sit and be okay. If we can just sit and be okay, I think we're halfway there. How did it feel? At this time, I would like to open up the floor for joys and concerns. So I don't know if they're already. So if you have something you'd like to bring up to the Sangha, just raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
The bell chant this morning was like a blast from the past. We weren't able to attend last week, so it was like meeting an old friend. That was the first bell chant that we ever heard in our lives 7 years ago when we walked through this. Actually, we walked through the front door then, and so wow, it was really cool. Thank you for bringing that back.
Hello, everyone. My name is GOT. I have been gone for a couple of weeks, but I would like to report that I'm back and that my surgery was a success. And if you know what that means, you know what that means. Thank you.
Wow, y'all don't have a lot going on this week.
I had a joy this morning of seeing a large precept class. It was wonderful to see. We had 8 folks, I think, which is one of the larger classes that we've had and started this morning. So that's great. I'm excited for the new preceptors. And to stack on top of that, it's a joy to see the temple so full this morning, the Dharma hall so full, and so many Sangha members. So this is wonderful.
Anyone else? Oh.
Thank you. I'm Angel Kshanti Baba, and I start a new job on Monday, which is tomorrow. And I've been waiting for months, so it's a joy. I'm really excited about this job, and I think it will be a really wonderful opportunity to deepen my personal practice. And also, it'll be a big transition for Wes and I. I've been able to be with him pretty much constantly when he's with me for most of his life. So it's a big shift for us, and I think we're both ready, but there's some grief there. So holding all of that and really looking forward to it. But thank you.
Do we have anybody else?
I have a concern, or more just a suck. I bought a new truck for my business as a beekeeper 2 months ago, and the transmission went out, and it's like gonna cost more than I paid for the truck to fix it and stuff. So it's just really been on my mind, and I'm just trying to get, just move past it. I don't think I'm going to fix it because it's going to cost too much. So if you can just help me forget about it, just move on. I'm ready to just move on.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and this is my first time to this temple, and thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. I am having some suffering in transitioning and letting go, and I'm at such peace here. I'm really feeling quite joyous, but outside of these walls, I'm having quite difficult time, and just some peace and letting go would be yeah, it's what I need right now in life. So thank you.
Do we have anybody online on Zoom or YouTube? No? Okay. Well, with that, why don't we take a few moments? Oh, was there anybody else? No? Okay. Why don't we take a few moments just to hold it all in, okay? So I do have some September announcements. What was that? Oh, go for it.
Gene says, I have a joy as the new season is on the horizon. I feel thankful for these changes with the weather and a reminder that there is always a new beginning.
We have an online meditation group that meets on Wednesdays from 6 to 6:45 p.m. And you can contact Kunga or see our newsletter for any more information on that. We also have a Thursday Dharma discussion group that meets on Thursdays from 9:30 to 11 a.m. And they will be reading and discussing Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet by Thich Nhat Hanh. And you can contact Reverend Jingsu, Ryan Duffield, or also it'll be in the newsletter. We also have our Dharma Disciples trainings that are going to be going on this month. So this morning we had the temple cleaning and setup training. Next Sunday, September 14th, we will have an incense lighting training. And then on the following Sunday, on September 21st, we have a temple etiquette and greeter training. And every session will happen at 9 a.m. So if you are interested in helping out in any of those ways, feel free to show up a little bit early, or you can get a hold of Nasanskara for that as well. We also have our precept class going on right now, so I appreciate all of you who showed up this morning. So they'll be meeting bi-weekly all the way through November, and they'll also be giving a little bit of extra help for the temple cleaning, as well as just deepening their practice with us here. So everybody wish them luck. This is day one. We also have our Buddhist Mutual Aid Sangha, and we'll be meeting Sunday, September 14th is our next meeting. And that'll be from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. I believe it's a different time from the previous weeks just to account for our preceptor classes going on. So that'll be next Sunday. Anybody is invited to join in, and you can contact me for more information about that, as well as in our newsletter, which, spoiler alert, a lot of this is our newsletter, so feel free to get connected to that. We also have our Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board meeting that is going to be meeting on September 21st, and that'll be at 11:30 after the service. And that'll be downstairs in the community room. There's also going to be a Google Meet. All of you are invited to attend and join that, especially if you are looking for any way to get connected, especially all the behind the scenes things to keep things moving. Last I heard, we are still looking for more members of the board as well. So if in any way that you are able to participate or help out in that way, we'd really appreciate it. Even if you just want to kind of be there and give some support and kind of chime in with the inner workings of the temple. We also have a Fundamentals of Buddhism class that's going to be Saturday, October 11th, and that's going to be at 9 a.m. till noon on a Saturday. We just ask that you register by October 10th, the day before. And that class will be ran by myself, and it'll just be over some of the basics and foundational ideas of Buddhist philosophy, meditation, texts, and just how to implement the teachings into our everyday life. And again, you can see the newsletter for more information. We also have our Buddhist-based recovery meetings that use our temple space. They meet here on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. For meditation, followed by the meeting at 7. On Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m., they meet at the Alano Club. And then on Fridays at 10:05 a.m. for meditation, and then 10:30, you can meet either here at the temple or via Zoom. And you can contact Reverend Drexwin Sue, Shane, for more information or our newsletter. Do we have any other announcements to give? Yes.
Good morning, Sangha. My name is Ellen. I'm giving the Dana announcement today. The word Dana in our practice means generosity. There are many, many, many ways to work through this practice. And here at the temple, of course, you can help out like we've already talked about. And this is the person that you want to be part of the Dharma Disciples because it's like a cool club. We don't have a handshake yet, but we're working on one. But to help set up, tear down for potlucks, to be give the Dana announcement. That's a cool thing, microphone and the whole bit. There's a lot of things that happen here, and no one is paid to do anything. It's all voluntary. So that's what Dana is about, certainly one of the phases of our practice. Also, periodically, we need things like toilet paper, tea bags, I don't know, computer paper, so on. But John would be the person to contact, find out what we need so we don't get overloaded with a bunch of toilet paper and no place to put it. So we want to keep track of that. Lastly, of course, financially, that's how the temple keeps the lights on, is money. If you are able at any time, we do have Dana boxes at the end of the Dharma Hall. They each have a QR code that will take you directly to PayPal. It also takes, obviously, cash and check. If you go to our website, zengr.org, there's a drop-down menu also directly to PayPal. And you can do a one-time donation. You can set it up monthly, however you want. And lastly, if you're watching from home, there's a drop-down also that will, again, take you to PayPal. How easy could it be? So whatever you can do, whenever you can do it, we sure appreciate it.
Do we have any other announcements to give? Yeah. Oh, you got your own mic.
Hi, I'm Max. Currently, we really only have 3 people on the tech team, one of which is going to be leaving. It's not too hard to go ahead and set up. We'll train you. It's really just pushing a button saying record or stream, and that's about it. So thank you.
I do want to emphasize the importance of that role too, because there's all of us in this room, but there's a lot of people who can't attend in person for whether it's ability or location, or if they're not feeling well. We ask that if you're sick, you don't show up, that you can just do online. And so that also allows for that kind of thing too. And so it's really important that we have people that can keep that going. So even if you're unsure and you just have some questions about whether or not it's something you can even handle, just feel free to pull Max aside after the service and just ask some questions. So just a couple last minute things before we do our closing gathas. I just ask that we kind of try to leave the space as we found it. So just kind of square up the cushions. We'll have people kind of gathering the chant books to collect them. We will have a shortened tea time downstairs because we do have our preceptors meeting at 11:15. So we don't want to kick you out, but we just need to make sure that we're aware of that, and that class is going to be going on downstairs. So maybe slurp up your tea a little faster today. With that, why can't we stand, and we will turn to page 6. For all and skillful action, ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts. Now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless black passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. A great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And if we could give one final closing bow, if one side can turn to meet the other side. Thank you all. Thank you for allowing me to sit here with you guys today.